Have you ever wondered why, as we get older, peace starts to matter more than anything else, and yet it's the one thing that seems hardest to keep? You reach a point in life where you've worked hard, raised your family, and done your best for everyone around you, but somehow even small conversations start to feel heavy. You share a bit too much, and suddenly there's worry, judgment, or advice you never asked for. It's not that people stop loving you, it's just that love becomes complicated. In this video, we're going to talk about something most people never tell you after 65. Sometimes the way to protect your happiness is by keeping a few things to yourself. I'll share 5 important truths that wise seniors choose to stay quiet about, not out of fear or secrecy, but out of wisdom and self-respect. These are the quiet boundaries that keep your relationships healthy and your mind at peace. So before we begin, tell me in the comments, where are you tuning in from? Have you ever shared something with your family and later wished you'd kept it to yourself? 1. Your exact financial situation. As we grow older, many of us believe that being open about money will keep things simple later on. We think, if I just tell my family everything now, how much I've saved, what I own, what my plans are, there won't be any confusion. It sounds practical, even loving, but what most people don't realize is that once you share every detail, the balance quietly changes. When your family knows exactly what you have, your independence can start to shrink without anyone meaning harm. Suddenly, every decision you make feels like a family vote. A new car, a home repair, a short trip, someone always has an opinion. Are you sure you can afford that? Maybe you should save that for later. It's said out of care, but over time, it starts to feel like permission instead of advice. Let me tell you about Harold, a 79-year-old retired teacher who decided to show his 3 children all his financial documents, his savings, pension, and even his will. He thought it would bring relief and unity. But instead, the conversation started to change. His oldest son began suggesting what Harold should do with his property. His daughter asked why he was still paying for a house that was too big. His youngest hinted that maybe it was time to move closer to family before something happens. None of them meant harm, but Harold began to feel like he had lost control over his own choices. That's why wise seniors choose privacy, not secrecy. It's about protecting your peace and your right to live freely. You can and should have a will, a power of attorney, and someone you trust to handle things if needed. But that doesn't mean everyone needs access to your accounts or decisions. Remember this, you've earned your independence. Your money is a symbol of your hard work, your discipline, and your freedom. Share it wisely, only when truly necessary, and keep the rest where it belongs, in your quiet confidence. 2. Your health details. It feels natural to talk about your health with the people you love. After all, they care about you, and you've probably spent years sharing everything openly with them. You might mention that your back hurts a little more these days, or that you felt dizzy one morning, thinking it's just small talk. But as many seniors discover, those little comments can quickly turn into something much bigger. Your children or grandchildren don't hear, "I felt a little dizzy." They hear, "Something's wrong with Mom," or "Dad's not doing well." Before you know it, the phone calls start doubling, people start checking on you constantly, and suggestions pour in. You should stop driving, or maybe it's time to get some help around the house. What began as a moment of honesty can suddenly make you feel fragile in their eyes, even when you're not. Take Margaret, for example, a 74-year-old woman who loved gardening and morning walks. One day, she casually told her daughter that her knees had been sore after planting flowers. Out of love, her daughter panicked. She called physical therapists, ordered knee braces online, and started showing up every other day to help. Margaret appreciated it, but she also began to feel watched, like she couldn't live normally without someone hovering nearby. That's the problem with oversharing small health issues. It can quietly take away your sense of independence. You know your body better than anyone else. You've lived through enough to tell the difference between a passing ache and a real concern. Of course, if something serious is happening, if you need support or medical help, share it. But you don't need to broadcast every twinge or sleepless night. Because here's the truth. When you keep every little discomfort at the center of conversation, it can make your world feel smaller. Life becomes about what's wrong instead of what's right. You are more than your aches and pains. Protect that image of strength not by pretending to be fine, but by choosing wisely when to speak and when to let silence keep your dignity intact. 3. Family conflicts and disagreements. One of the hardest lessons many seniors learn is that not every family problem needs your involvement. When children argue, siblings drift apart, or relatives hold grudges, your heart naturally wants to fix it. You've seen more life, you've learned more lessons, and you think, maybe if I just say something kind or reasonable, they'll make peace. But the truth is, no matter how carefully you choose your words, once you step into a family conflict, you often become part of it. That's what happened with Helen, a thoughtful 78-year-old grandmother who adored her 2 daughters. One day, she gently suggested that her eldest might give her younger sister a little more space to make her own decisions. She said it with love, not judgment, but it was taken the wrong way. The younger daughter felt embarrassed. The older felt criticized, and Helen found herself caught in the middle of a quiet tension that lasted for months. She told me later, I only wanted peace, but I ended up feeling like the problem. And that's how family disputes often work. Everyone hears through their emotions. Even soft words can sound like taking sides. You might mean guidance, but they hear criticism. You might offer help, but they feel control. Before long, the relationships that once felt warm start to cool. So, what's the wiser way? Sometimes peace means stepping back. You can still be loving, supportive, and present without being pulled into every disagreement. When someone tries to involve you, it's perfectly fine to say, I trust you to figure it out. Or, I love you both too much to take sides. Those words may sound simple, but they carry wisdom and grace. At this stage of life, your role isn't to solve everyone's problems. It's to keep your heart steady and your home peaceful. You've earned that calm. Remember, silence isn't weakness. It's strength that protects your relationships, your dignity, and your peace of mind. 4. Your personal regrets. By the time we reach our later years, we all carry a few quiet regrets, things we wish we'd done differently, chances we didn't take, or words we never said. It's part of being human. Sometimes those thoughts slip out in casual conversations with family, not because we want sympathy, but simply because we're reflecting on life. But here's something many seniors realize over time. When you share your regrets too openly, people may not hear what you mean. They hear something else, something that can hurt them without you ever intending to. Take Ruth, a 77-year-old widow who once told her son, "Sometimes I wish I hadn't given up my dream of becoming a nurse." She said it softly, just a passing thought over dinner. But later, her son admitted it made him feel like she was disappointed in the life they'd shared. What she meant as reflection, he took as regret for having raised him. That's how delicate these moments can be. When you say, "I wish I had worked longer," your children might hear, "You weren't enough." When you say, "I should have moved somewhere else," they might think, "You were unhappy where we lived." It's not your fault. It's just how love works. People personalize what you say because they care deeply about how you've felt. This doesn't mean you should hide your emotions. Your experiences and lessons are valuable, but there's a difference between reflecting and reopening old wounds. Instead of saying, "I wish I had," try saying, "I'm grateful for what life taught me." That small shift changes the tone from sadness to strength. Some feelings are sacred. They belong in quiet moments of reflection, not conversations that may leave someone else carrying your old pain. You've already lived through those moments. You don't need to relive them again. Protect your peace by keeping certain reflections private, not because they're shameful, but because they deserve gentleness. And remember, your story isn't defined by regrets. It's defined by everything you've overcome. 5. Your plans for your assets. It's natural to want your family to understand what will happen to your belongings when you're gone. You might think that by explaining who gets what, your home, savings, jewelry, or heirlooms, you're preventing future problems. But many wise seniors have learned that sharing too many details too soon can actually create tension long before anything happens. Take Elaine, an 82-year-old retired nurse who decided to sit her 3 children down and explain her entire estate plan. She wanted to be transparent, to avoid surprises later. At first, everyone thanked her, but within weeks, things began to shift. Her oldest started hinting that the house should be sold now while the market is good. Her daughter questioned why one sibling was getting a slightly larger share, and the youngest grew quiet, clearly uncomfortable, but hurt all the same. Elaine told me later, "I thought I was keeping the peace, but I ended up causing worry and distance." That's the hidden cost of oversharing your inheritance plans. Once people know the numbers, expectations form. Even the kindest families can start comparing, questioning, or silently feeling left out. And suddenly your later years, meant to be peaceful, become surrounded by subtle pressure. You may begin second-guessing your choices, feeling watched every time you spend on yourself. The truth is, you don't owe anyone a preview of your will. You have every right to decide privately how your assets will be managed, spent, or shared. It's still wise to keep your paperwork in order, a will, a power of attorney, and a trusted executor. But the rest should stay between you and your lawyer until the time comes. Your legacy isn't measured in money. It's measured in love, lessons, and memories. You've already given your family more than they realize through years of care and sacrifice. So protect your plans, protect your peace, and remind yourself this chapter of life is not about dividing what you've earned. It's about enjoying what you've built. You've spent your entire life giving, your time, your love, your energy to everyone around you. You've raised families, worked hard, and carried responsibilities that only you truly understand. But at this stage of life, you've earned something just as important as love or success: peace. And peace doesn't come from sharing every detail or explaining every choice. It comes from knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Protecting your peace doesn't mean shutting people out. It means understanding that privacy is power, that not every truth needs an audience, and not every thought deserves a discussion. Some things, your plans, your reflections, your health, your finances, belong only to you. They are part of your dignity, your independence, and your right to live freely without feeling watched or judged. So, take a moment and ask yourself, what's one thing you've decided to keep just for yourself from now on? Share it in the comments below. Your story might help another senior find clarity and calm today. And if this message spoke to your heart, don't forget to subscribe. Here, we're building a gentle, thoughtful community for seniors who want to live their golden years with grace, wisdom, and strength. Because peace isn't something that just happens. It's something you protect, one wise choice at a time.